Tone can be bright or it can be dark. It can be edgy or it can be breathy. It can be cold or it can be warm. It can be nasal or it can be blocked. And everything in between, a full spectrum. Now, you might not always need to use those variations, but at least you should be able to. Welcome to the Foster Your Voice podcast with me, Christy Foster. After a 30-year career in music and theater, I never imagined I'd be coaching trial attorneys. But once I entered your world, I quickly realized how critical and underutilized voice is in the courtroom. The truth is, you don't win trials with brute strength. You win with your voice. I'll give you tools to unlock your voice so you can communicate not just with purpose, but on purpose. If you want quick action tips to help you stay calm and in control, keep jurors engaged, and inspire your listeners to action, all through the power of your voice, you're in the right place. I'm Christy Foster, and I'm here to help you foster your voice. Hello, Foster fam. I'm excited to be here today and excited to be wrapping up our series on the 5 vocal building blocks. Have you enjoyed these little mini voice lessons, these mini coachings over the last couple of weeks? If so, as always, I'd love it if you would leave a quick 5-star rating and a written review. Tell me what you're learning and what you're taking away from the podcast so far. Your reviews go a long way to, first of all, help other potential listeners find me, but secondly, they give me some encouragement along the way. Since this is essentially a one-sided conversation, I'm not getting personal feedback. Your reviews help me know what I'm putting out there is landing with you. So please take just a minute to leave a brief review. I'd really love it. Before we get into our last building block of tone, I wanted to read a fun poem. I'm not a big poetry person, but how this poem came about is I wrote a carousel post. This was last year, and actually did a whole series of posts on Instagram and Facebook about the 5 types of listeners that you might find in a jury panel. This is based on Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Then, just to play around, I used the feature in Canva, the design software that I use, and I used their AI to change the content from a carousel into a poem. And that's the poem I'm going to read today. So thank you very much to Canva AI for this. I thought it was just clever and I wanted to share it. The Symphony of Jury Selection. In a world that spins around, the undulating seas of voices abound, each jury panel a medley of minds so diverse. In the echoes of justice, their perceptions immerse. Stephen Covey, in his tome of wisdom so profound, explores how we listen, how our understanding is found. In the court's solemn silence, each juror finds an ear. The art of communication in this dance becomes clear. Your role, my dear friend, is to guide them through, to meet them in their world and present a view anew. For the verdict just and fair, they must comprehend the symphony of voices and where their notes blend. 5 types of listeners in this ensemble we find, each with their own melody and rhythm of mind. Understand their song and you'll know how to speak to each in a way to ensure your message is not weak. The ignorer, who believes they've heard it all before, lure them in with vocal variety, open their mind's door. Pitch, pace, and volume, your tools for this song. Keep them guessing, keep them listening all along. The pretender, lost in their own mental maze, they seem attentive, but it's just a vacant gaze. Help them focus. Don't let their thoughts stray. One message at a time, guide them on their way. The selective listener, sifting through your speech, only the interesting bits their attention will reach. Emphasize key points, make them resonate. A slower pace, their interest you can captivate. The attentive listener, who seeks to truly understand, relate to their experiences, in their mind your words land. Use common human analogies, metaphors that ring true. Pause for contemplation. Let them rephrase and review. The empathic listener, who feels the emotion in your tone. They see through your client's eyes. In their heart, the story is sown. Use dialogue. Alter your voice. Play every character's part. Capture the scene's feeling. Echo it in their heart. Was this symphony of voices helpful to you? I hope it's given a clue. For the next time you prep for jury selection, may this guide lead you to effective direction. Okay, like I said, I don't know much about poetry, but I think that was pretty clever. And did you hear how I talked about the different building blocks and how they interplay in order to accommodate the learning of different types of listeners? That is what we're all about. Communicating on purpose by using our voice and other nonverbals to infuse meaning into our content. Anyway, I thought it was just fun. So thank you, AI. You know what I hate? Being misunderstood. It's actually one of my biggest fears, if I'm honest, right up there with birds. Yes, I'm afraid of birds. Leave me alone about it already. Being misunderstood is just the worst, though. Trying to communicate something and seeing that it's just not landing the way you intend. A too harsh of tone with your kid or spouse that ended up setting them off. A thinking face that got interpreted as annoyance or irritation and ended up shutting down the conversation and leaving you baffled. It's so frustrating in our personal lives, but in the courtroom, your mismatched communication profile could break your case and lose you a deserving verdict. So, I've created a free guide to get you thinking about the emotional profiles you create. It's a printable guide to help you 10x your communication impact by mastering 6 emotional profiles for clear and authentic connection. I break down the 6 core emotions: happy, sad, love, pride, anger, and fear by giving you face, body, and breathing cues. Plus, I show you exactly which point on a 1 to 10 scale you should be with your pitch, pace, melody, volume, and tone in order to authentically capture the center of that core emotion. The link to get your free guide is in the show notes or by simply going to my website, fostervoicestudio.com. Don't wait to clear up your part of miscommunication and misunderstandings. Get your free download today. Now, I want to encourage you, if you haven't already listened, make sure to go back to episode 13. Listen to 13, 14, and 15 so you can understand the previous 4 building blocks of pitch, pace, melody, and volume. As I've said before, they're not in a hierarchy. One's not more important than the others, but isolated application, like trying to do just one at a time, is really limiting. They work in tandem together. And this is how you unlock your full spectrum voice so you can communicate not just with purpose, but on purpose. So go back and listen to the whole series if you haven't already. Today, though, let's dive into tone. This is the 5th vocal building block. And this is where the voice can really create some emotional landscapes because tone carries emotion. So what do we even mean by tone? Well, have you ever been in a conversation with someone, your partner or spouse maybe, and it's just not going the way you intend? What you're saying is benign. It's just information, non-emotional, just stuff. But the reaction is infused with something unexpected. And your partner asks, "Why are you so angry?" Which surprises you because you don't personally feel angry at all. But now you're suddenly in a fight over information that wasn't supposed to fuel anything. Have you ever experienced that? Well, it was probably your tone or their tone. It's not what you said, it's how you said it. How many times growing up did I hear my mom say, "Watch your tone. You can say the same thing again, but adjust your tone." By making the adjustments, the conversation stayed respectful, and I was able to emotionally be responsible and intentional with my words and delivery because tone carries emotion. Tone can be bright or it can be dark. It can be edgy or it can be breathy. It can be cold or it can be warm. It can be nasal or it can be blocked. And everything in between, a full spectrum. Now, you might not always need to use those variations, but at least you should be able to unlock your full spectrum voice. The important thing to remember is that wherever you place your tone, you will incite an emotional response. If I talk to you like this with this bright tone, how does it make you feel? When I've tested this on my clients, I could physically see them lean back in their chair, trying to get away. They felt attacked or like they were in trouble. But the actual words I'm saying are not attacking, unkind, or punishing in any way. But on the flip side, if this darker tone was my regular voice, how would it make you feel? Again, my clients have said they feel tired, bored, disinterested. Does that mean we should never use either of those tonal placements? Well, of course not. The goal here, as always, is to not get stuck in a pattern. Learn to use the appropriate tone for that specific thing you're saying, and then adjust for the next thing. Watch your tone because how you say it will be jam packed with emotional fuel that will unlock permission for your jurors' emotions. Here's some examples. When you're driving a point home, you want to use a bright tone. Bright tone has momentum, it has drive, it's pointed and directional. They did this and this and this. Or company X didn't do this. They didn't do this and refused to do this. Hear that bright tone? But then a critical change has to happen to land with the result of that action or inaction. You can't have, "They did this and this and this, and then she died." Right? That's too abrasive and it sounds trite. You need a warmer, darker tone to match the seriousness of the situation. "They did this and this and this, and then she died." Well, that's not what you want either, right? There has to be a shift. It has to have both. You have to move adeptly through your tone. You have to be able to access both bright tone for drive and then shift to warm or dark tone for gravitas and compassion. "They did this and this and this, and then she died." But then you have to go right back to bright. "And yet they still did this, and they have not changed their policies, and they have yet to acknowledge their mistakes." Shift again. It has to stop today. And you folks are the ones to make them do it. Now, I'm just making up the script. You, of course, know what you would actually say in court, but can you feel the shifts? So can the jury. Tone carries emotion. Tone also helps the jury keep track of the various characters and the various perspectives in your storytelling. Tone helps you do all the voices. Did your kids ever make you do the voices when you were reading to them? But they do this because it enhances their engagement and understanding. Varied voices and tones help them connect with the characters and the emotions that the story opens up, making the experience more interactive and memorable. Turns out that doesn't go away. Jurors need that too. You're doing a disservice to your client if you don't do the voices for the jury in trial. Now, you want to stay respectful and not do caricatured voices. You don't want anyone to think you're making fun of them because even if the jury doesn't like the defendant, they won't respect you for being a bully. So, how do you do the voices while maintaining professional decorum? Well, you first have to practice all the extremes. Get all the far corners of tonal placement and resonance unlocked and make sure you have easy access. This takes some time and patience, and you'd greatly benefit from an additional set of ears, like from a vocal coach, to workshop with you and help you unlock and turn up to 11, but also how to identify when you're at a 0. It takes some time to calibrate and get definitions dialed in and muscle memory confirmed. Once you know where those extremes are, though, then you can start coloring vocally within the lines. You can get nuanced. And again, it always helps to get informed feedback from someone to help you better calibrate between your internal hearing and their external listening. If you're uncertain whether or not you already have access to a full spectrum voice, or if you want to better understand where you are vocally strong or maybe have some room for growth, I'd love to help you. I have a free vocal assessment session. No obligation to do anything after that. It'll just take about 30 minutes or so, and you'll leave with more clarity of how your voice works for you and perhaps against you. I'll put the sign up link in the show notes where, FYI, you can find links to several other free resources. When you can strategically and confidently use pitch, pace, melody, volume, and tone, the 5 vocal building blocks, you will exponentially increase your jurors' ability to listen attentively, retain your content, and feel permission to emotionally invest themselves in your client. Until next week, keep fostering your voice. Thanks for pulling up a seat with me today and for being part of the Foster fam. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, go ahead and leave a review or a comment so I can give you a shout out on a future episode. During the week, you can find me on Instagram at Foster Voice Studio, where I'm dropping little nuggets of vocal technique and leadership wisdom. You can also join my mailing list by visiting fostervoicestudio.com or by clicking the link in the show notes. I'll send a weekly vocal tip every Tuesday directly to your inbox. Until then, keep fostering your voice.